Integrated marketing communication. As I have told you before, you can download the full book from any one of these links. It's called Integrated Advertising, Promotion and Marketing Communications. In this chapter, we will continue the second part of chapter 6. Chapter 6, second part, Advertising Design. Types of advertising appeals. Through the years, advertisers have employed numerous advertising approaches. Of these, 7 advertising appeals have achieved the most success. Normally, one or a combination of these types of appeals appears in an advertisement. Fear, humor, sex, music, rationality, emotions, scarcity. So what is an appeal? The appeal, it is how will I attract the consumer to the product and to the advert in the first place, the advert and then the product itself. Okay, so I might make the consumer afraid of certain thing, like in toothpaste, for example, adverts. I make him afraid of cavity, that his teeth will be ruined from cavity. So that's the fear. Okay. Or for example, humor, and we will explain each one of them. Okay. For humor, I'm making an advert that is there are a lot of jokes in the adverts, and it is humorous. Okay. That's a way, another way of attracting the consumer to the ad. Okay. Or emotions, for example, I am trying to influence the emotions of the consumer, making him donate to a certain charity organization by bringing some poor people and saying that they need your care, and see how they live in bad conditions, blah blah blah. Okay, so we will explain each one of them in the next slides. The type of appeal chosen will be based on a review of the creative brief. We have discussed before the creative brief in the first part of the chapter. The objectives of the campaign. What are my objectives? As we have discussed before, my objective may be to make consumers like the product, or be aware of the product, maybe purchase the product on the spot, like I'm telling to them, or immediately, I mean, if I am telling them buy now and get a discount. What are my objectives? Okay. The message strategy, and we have discussed this in the first part also. The product being sold, is it a service? It is a good, an idea. Okay, like idea, like for example, stopping birth. Okay, birth control. That's an idea. The target market of the campaign. Who is my target market? My consumers, teenagers, men, women, children, or whatever. And for sure, the personal preferences of the advertising agency itself and the client. The advertising agency is making adverts for a company. We call it a client, and this client has preferences also. So it might be the preferences of the advertising agency or the client. All these factors affect the advertising appeal. And advertising appeal is the shape or the way we present the advert itself. Fear appeal. Okay, that's the first appeal. In the fear appeal, I'm trying to make the consumer afraid of something. For example, um, Crest for toothpaste usually use cavity fighter, okay, slogan or tag, okay, to say that Crest is like fighting cavity, and that your teeth will be ruined if you didn't use this toothpaste Crest. Okay, so I'm making you afraid. I'm trying to make you afraid of something. Okay, Subaru, for example, it is a car, and they usually use the campaign. Someone making an accident in the campaign and then the advert itself, and then they say that these people or that guy still alive and they lived well, and that's okay. They call the campaign they lived. They mean although they had an accident, they lived after this, and that's because Subaru is reliable and safe, has safety like things inside of it, and you can trust it. Okay, so here I'm trying to make you afraid of something that might happen, and the product itself prevent this from happening. Okay, also shampoos rely on the same thing, like dandruff in hair, and that Pert Plus or Head and Shoulders all say that they will uh, like they fight dandruff. Okay, or for example mouthwash ad for toothpaste, like prevent bad breath. Okay, and this bad breath or dandruff might affect your social relations, you know. People will get away from you for bad breath or because you have dandruff, and the product itself, the shampoo or toothpaste, is preventing this from happening. Okay, so they are relying on the fear appeal. Okay, humor appeals. Here I'm making an advert that makes people laugh, like it is some sort of a joke, a funny message. Usually it is very successful, these kinds of ads, but I shouldn't make it so funny that people only remember the jokes and forget about the product itself or the message I'm trying to advert. Sex appeals. Many advertisers prefer subtle sexual cues. For example, like using a model man or woman in the advert itself. Um, but there is some criticism of sex appeals. Usually, if the man or the woman are presenting parts of their body, because here, like uh, the criticism is saying that it makes consumer dissatisfied about their body because everyone wants to be like the model, the man or the woman. Some ads objectifies women, like we are looking at the woman as an object. Um, okay, especially if she doesn't have a real role in the advert itself, and like just she stands and doesn't say anything, doesn't do any action. Okay, so we objectify the woman. That's the criticism for sex appeals. Music appeals. Several decisions are made when selecting music for commercials, including the following. What role will music play in the ad? will we use a song that is so popular or something created for the ad itself? The emotional tone for the music, sad, for example, or high tone or what? Does the music fit with the message of the ad? I'll give you an example when Vodafone used West Ballad ad music for its adverts. Okay, here we are using music appeals, or you get a band music and put it in the advert itself. Rational appeals. Rational advertisements should lead to stronger conviction about the product benefits. Here we are only putting info about the product and the benefits of the product. Okay, it is very يعني, it is better to use print media or internet for rational appeals, because you can write a lot of things uh, um, uh, while in a television and radio commercials they are short, so it is hard to say all the benefits or the like specifications of a certain product. A rational appeal works best when individuals have a particular interest in the product or brand. Otherwise, people tend to ignore them. Emotional appeals. Emotional appeal or appeals are based on three ideas. That the consumers ignore most advertisements. Second, rational appeals go unnoticed except for consumers in the market for a particular product at the time it is advertised. So they argue that rational appeals go unnoticed. That's why we need emotional appeals. Okay. The third argument and most important, that emotional advertising can capture a viewer attention and create an emotional attachment between the consumer and the brand. For example, in Ramadan, usually we have a lot of adverts like this. They advert about helping poor people and like bringing a small girl without blanket. We should donate to help the girl, or for example, cancer hospital. We should donate, and bringing a child that had cancer and then survived and became healthy. Or for example, he made an operation in heart and now he is well at Magdi Yaqub hospital, and so on. Okay, so that's emotional appeal. We are trying to affect the emotions of the consumers. And there are a lot of emotions like trust, reliability, friendship, anger, romance, family bonds, security. Okay, and you can try to affect any emotion of these emotions, okay, in the consumers. And that's an example for emotional appeal. Uh, it is a hospital and a mother putting a picture of a mother and her daughter, and they say we work around your schedule because the mother is busy at work, but at the same time she wants to take care of her daughters in the hospital. So they say we are scheduling our time according to your work. Okay, we work around your schedule so that you can take care of your daughter, and that's the idea of the advert. Okay. Scarcity appeal. Yeah, I believe you have seen this a lot. Scarcity appeal say that after some time the product will not be available at the market. A limited time, buy it now for limited. It is something like this. Okay. When I put a limitation in time for a product, that's scarcity appeal. It will not be there anymore. Or for example, I'm saying to them, buy now, get one free for limited time, only 2 days, 3 days, or whatever. So that's scarcity appeal. Okay. The executional framework. How will I make the advert? Okay, the shape of the advert. We already talked about the story, or the how will I make the consumer attracted to the product by making him fear of something, affecting his emotion, say it is a scarce product. Okay, but how will I execute this? Okay, how will I present this? That's the idea. So that's the difference between the appeal and the way it is presented. Okay, so I am saying that the appeal is fear. Okay, it is fear appeal. Okay, but how will I present this fear appeal? Okay, I might make an animation. For example, Crest usually make some sort of cartoon for bacteria that are talking together and so on. I believe you have saw this a lot. Okay, and like bacteria try to drill in the teeth. Okay, and the Crest is trying to fighting it. It is like animation cartoon. Okay, so here I am making here a fear appeal by the animation is presenting the appeal itself. Okay, so that's the execution animation. That's the first kind. So it is about presenting the story. Animation executions, we have already discussed this, but I wanted to explain something. In the animation execution, we already using animations and so on. But do you remember the cavity fighter example? We are using the animations, animation execution, but in the same time we are relying on the fear appeal we have discussed before. Okay, so the executional framework relies on an appeal or more than one appeal. Okay, that's the idea. So you are using one of the 7 appeals or more and using them in an executional framework. The animations or slice of life or whatever executional framework we will study in the next slides. So the slice of life executions, here the company is trying to say that its product will solve a problem that consumers usually face. That's the slice of life executions. How this product problem solve a daily problem that people face in their life. Okay, the problem that the company sell. That's the slice of life executions. Storytelling execution. Here the company itself that's selling the product or service try to make a story about someone using the product or something related to the product. For example, Subaru made a commercial ad about a dad taking care of his daughter, and she grew up, and they bring phases of her life while she grew up, while he still sees her as little girl, and then teenager, and after this he brought a Subaru for her as a present. Okay, the idea is that if you really care about your beloved ones, you should trust Subaru and bring it to them, because it is like expressing your life to them, and you trust that Subaru will take care of them. Okay, and that's the main idea. So they are making it like a story. Okay, that's the storytelling execution. They meant that Subaru represents love from the father to the child when she became a teenager, and that you can trust Subaru for the safety of your daughter or beloved ones. In testimonial executions, I will bring some consumers, and they will make a testimony about how they used the product, and it really changed their life or solved their problems or whatever. Okay, usually consumers believe normal people who talks about the product much more than they believe celebrities when they talk about the product or the company itself. Authoritative executions. Here I'm bringing an expert to talk about the product, a physician, dentist, engineer, lawyer, or whatever. He's a specialist, and he tried to convince people that this product bring features, provide features, or solve their problems and whatever. Okay. A demonstration execution displays how a product works. It provides an effective way to communicate the product's benefits to viewers. For example, there was an advert for Swiffer, and it demonstrates how product can be used in multiple ways, like cleaning television screen, wooden floor, saxophone, and so on. Okay, so it is just teaching people how to use the product. That's demonstration executions, and showing the benefits of the product, how it can be used in several ways. Fancy executions. Here the company tried to make an advert that has some fancy. For example, we might find, and I think you saw this, a construction company advertising its new area that it builds, and they are saying everything is in that area. So they bring a model, and she is living in her apartment, and when she opened the closet, she found a mall. She go inside the shopping mall, and then she got her clothes, and then went out of the mall and found a very big garden with swimming pool. And then when she looked behind, sorry, by her side, she found like a football match or so. It is like fantasy. Okay, it is, they are saying that there is everything in this place, and she can go to spa or a gym or whatever. It is like this, going from one place to another, from one place to another. But is it logical that you open your closet and found a shopping mall? No, for sure, but it is somehow fantasy. Okay, so that's fantasy executions. And a lot of time people often recall these fantasy messages, okay, or illogical ads. Informative executions. This kind of execution speak to the audience in a straightforward manner, usually used in radio commercials. where only verbal communication takes place. So I'm trying to say some info about the product in a straightforward manner. Okay. Uh, for sure, the timing is vital because if I'm making an advert for example, a restaurant, I can't make the advert, for example, at 1 a.m. Who will listen to it and then go to the restaurant? Probably they will forget. But I should make it earlier, before lunch. Uh, I, Informative executions also can be on newspapers or magazines because there is a lot of space to put info. Okay. So, for example, if I'm making an ad for a diet product, I should make it next to an article about weight control, okay, or exercise. It will be more noticed. So, the time of the product and the place of the product is vital. For example, a business making an ad about industrial equipment works well next to an article about the capital cost of equipment. Okay, that's the idea, the place also of the ad. That's an example of informative execution. It's about Philadelphia cheese, and they are giving like a recipe how to make this cheesecake using Philadelphia cheese. Uh, it will be so hard to make it on TV because a lot of this info, how will the company present it, or these ingredients. So it is better to make it on newspaper or magazine like they did. Also, it will be hard to make it on radio, and people will forget what you will say, and the commercial will take a lot of time. So that's informative executions. A lot of information is there, and in the same time, we are using for sure the product we are trying to advert. For sure, we are putting it in the advert, and at the same time including it in other things that people love. How to use Philadelphia in making cheesecake that you love. Okay. Sources and spokespersons. When creating a commercial or ad, the final issue facing the creative, the people who create the adverts, and the company and the account executive. We have talked about account executive role in the, I believe, chapter 5. It is one of the 4 roles in any advertising agency. So all these people face a problem, okay, or face a situation where they have to take a decision. Who will speak in the advert? Okay, the source or spokesperson, uh, visually or verbally. Okay, he will appear in the advert or he will speak with his voice in the advert. So I might bring celebrity, okay, someone who is well known, okay, a singer, an artist, or whatever, okay, or I might bring CEO, okay, for a company. For example, Michael Dell has appeared as the spokesperson for Dell, okay, or an expert. I might bring a doctor, like a medical doctor, lawyer, accountant, mechanic, financial planner, okay, physician, yeah, I mean, medical doctor, yeah. So to talk about the product that the company adverts, makes adverts on. I also might bring typical persons. Okay, and people usually believe a man of the street, they say a normal man, and talks about the product and how it really affected his life and solved his problems. Okay, thanks.